What's up, everybody? And I am here, and now I could be as foul-mouthed as I want, because in this episode, I am interviewing my future podcast partner, Dr. Loralyn Mears, and that show is going to get ugly. But here, we're going to talk about a few of the sins you guys make, and the mistakes you make, and all the things you screw up every day. And we're going to hold you accountable. Be right back.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff. America will continue the dream.
So what's up, everybody? I am here with Dr. Loralyn Mears. So by the way, she found me from our event. She found us, Procurement Con, from coming to events, and then brought me on her podcast, and we had a great time. I think we went over the time allotment, and it was just such a good vibe, because she's like, she's the one with the degree and the intelligence, but she's still got that level of kick your ass when you do it wrong that I have. So it just was this perfect match to decide how we were going to launch our podcast. I was going to try to figure out what was going on with that thing. And we're here today to talk to Dr. Mears. So tell us let's get to how you got started in this space.
Well, I looked around. So first of all, I guess just roll back. So there's two pieces. So one of the things was I've always been a problem solver. So I look at it and I don't want to just get grounded in the theory. So even though I pursued master's PhD, which is all about, let's be in the ivory tower, let's put our theory together, nonsense. From the beginning, I went for grants to get funded to figure out how to stop malaria and eradicate it so children wouldn't be affected by it anymore around the world. So instant practical application. That's how I'm spun. And then as a problem solver, you go down that path of entrepreneurship really quickly because you see problems everywhere. You look and I'm in the grocery store. That optimized, like the lineup could be optimized. Why are they doing that with the digital kiosk?
Right.
They're messing this up. They're messing that up. And you're constantly looking for ways to improve things. And then specifically with respect to STEERus, I started that because I looked around, and I've been in corporate for, a long time. Left it a long time ago as well. But in my roles of leadership in 3 different Fortune 100s and multiple startups, I looked around and like, oh my God, Gen Z, wherever you are and based, what's happening? They need soft skills. And sure enough, I looked around, every report was out there. Oh, Gen Z doesn't have soft skills. They don't have this. And I thought, problem needs to be solved. So that was what put me on the path.
Yeah, Gen Z, sorry to break the news to you, you need coping skills too.
Key part of what's missing.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, and I mean, I think, that's going to sort of over time, it's, I don't think there's anything bad with throwing a few people to the wolves and letting them kind of figure it out with some guidance, because it's really important, because that's how you really build good problem-solving skills. Is in the moment, you got to figure it out so you don't get eaten. So see why Fortune 100 companies, it's going to give me some credibility now. So, with STEERus, you are consulting small businesses, right?
But that's the pivot.
Okay.
That's the part of the important story. But yeah, go on. Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So at that point, you're consulting small businesses to do the right thing. And I'm sure you run into a few people who want to make sure that their rainbow shitting unicorn is their brand.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. So what do we do there? What's happening when you're dealing with a small business that is claiming I want to learn, I want change, but is not willing to let go for that to actually happen with the expert they hired?
That's right. Well, it's the same thing. Well, at least a lot of parallels, I think, when people are reluctant and resistant to therapy. They're not willing to do the inner work. They know something's not quite right, but they don't really want to do anything with it. So they might just go through the motions. I'm going to do a this. I'm going to do a that. I'll go to a few therapy sessions. We'll try to figure it out. And then they pull back and nothing really changes. It's the same thing with small businesses. Yeah. So there's so many of them that go down the path and go, I know I have a problem. So what do? I'll go to the webinar. And then they wait until that 58 minutes in the webinar, right? And then whoever is hosting the webinar goes, now for this price only, limited for the next 5 minutes. If you click here and you buy now, I swear we're going to give you all the secrets, right? To how to fix whatever problem you came onto the show for, right? Which we all know is bananas, right? That's complete nonsense. But these small business owners, I see they keep doing it over and over again. And pick the flavor. It's the webinar. It's buy my book. It's sign up for my coaching package. It's do this. It's do that. And so it's like tokenism. They're putting these little toe dips in and going, okay, I'll try. But then nothing really changes because they're not doing the work. The coach says, yeah, I'll hold you accountable. But Loralyn, you better do this differently and you better do that. And actually, coaches don't even advise you. Right? Coaches just hold you accountable. So when you say, yeah, I think I need to change that. 2 weeks later, the coach goes, so Eric, did you change it? And you're like, no, I didn't have time because I was whatever. So that's the problem that I see. And that's where STEERus has refocused itself to pivot, because a lot of parallels to Gen Z and youth not taking the advice or seeing what's needed. Like, I can figure it out. I'm going to watch TikTok. I'm good. I'm all there. But then the change isn't happening. And that's enters where STEERus is now.
Let's dial this back with STEERus, and let's even dial this back to TikTok, and let's dial this back. First of all, I have to say this about TikTok right now. They just recently did a pivot. And by the time this episode is up, I don't know how that recent looks. They did a pivot in their marketing, right? Their marketing changed, and now they're showing businesses in their marketing who have been able to successfully grow through TikTok. So I applaud you, TikTok. Now clean up your TikTok mess with all these people selling their $49.95 secret sauce ideas and roping people in with bullshit. But with that said, let's talk about that for a minute, right? Because that's a business. I am in the business of getting you to part with your $49.95 for the secret to the sauce. That's my business. Here's my 58-minute webinar. And now if you want all the secrets, here's the secret, right? And this is what it's going to cost you. How do we, I mean, again, yeah, it's a business. So there's a certain degree of respect. I got to respect the hustle, right? But how does STEERus, how do we get people to realize those? And again, we do it with Procurement Con. We're trying to put those resources out there. Look, these are here. Don't part with your $49.95 a month subscription with no actionable results. But how do we do that? What's your solution? What are you thinking that really gets those businesses to go, okay, A, let me not buy another subscription, right? B, I've got this subscription and service, so now let me follow through on the steps. And then C, be the same time, be that coach where you're like, okay, I taught you how to follow through. Did you do it? And when you hit that, oops, I wasn't accountable for my actions, what do you do? So give me that sandwich.
Okay, so that's like 10 questions.
Yeah,
well, at least 5, but who's counting? So couple of things. It all ties into even how we talked about just a few moments ago about Gen Z and sort of letting them fail. But you've got to do it with guardrails. You don't want people to crash and burn, right? That's not a humankind thing.
Hold on. Gen X didn't have guardrails.
We didn't. Because we were the first ones out with the latchkey where mom said, yeah, toodles, I'm going to work now. And this whole thing, figure it out after school, eat your craft dinner, your grilled cheese, whatever it is you've got to do. But just make sure you're home by 5 when the lights go on, right? The street lights. Yeah, we figured. And we ran around freaking barefoot with no helmets on our bikes, right? We're Gen X, right? We're tough. Anyway, but guardrails are needed now because that's how society has shifted and society has gotten really ugly and dark. And there's a lot of extra scary stuff that we didn't have to deal with growing up. So that's part one. The second thing that you want to be able to do is let them. Like, I love Mel Robbins, right? Her whole the let them theory. For anybody that hasn't read it, it's just fantastic. People are getting tattooed with let them anywhere on their bodies to remind them that sometimes you just have to let people fail. You have to let them churn. Again, with some guardrails so they don't crash and burn, but they have to make the mistakes. And then bringing it home to the last couple of questions is that we watch and we see these businesses that are struggling and churning and trying to figure it out. And the business owners, I've had several in front of me, either on Zoom or in person, where the business owner is crying. And it's not just because, they're female, they're emotional. No, right. I have words for that, but we won't go there right now.
Save it for the podcast.
Yeah, we'll save it. But literally in tears because they're frustrated. They're They're so frustrated. They're trying to do all the right things. They've got their automated sales and marketing CRM, but it's not quite working right. They did their landing page. They did their promo. They've got their webinar advertised on Eventbrite, on Meetup. They've got this. They've got and they're, I'm writing my book and I'm doing my podcast and I'm writing my blog and right, the panic. And so I go just stop. STEERus, we are positioned as the frustration fixer. No nonsense, no buy the book, buy the webinar, buy the subscription. Enough of that nonsense.
Right.
There's your problem. There it is. You're on the blacklist, so no one's opening your freaking newsletter. We're going to take you off the freaking blacklist.
We just talked about that.
Right? Get you on the whitelist, and that's it. Now your newsletters will be open. After, of course, we help you optimize the content and all the other little things that you need to do. But there, problem solved, right? Like, that guy in USA Today? I love him. I can't remember his name. Problem solved. He's this really cool dude, and he's always finding ways to fix problems like, how do you get your popcorn fluffier? Whatever else, right? Anyway, it's it.
Wait, was that 5 or 10? Okay.
Just checking. Yeah.
It's not the kind of talk show. I don't care what's going on in the background. Like, we just talked about frustrations and people talking about, guidance, right? And then following rules. We have Shomo Ganguly here, who is a real supporter of the Procurement Con brand in our show. He deals with it too, through SBDC and through his own consulting business, right, Shoma? Right? People need they do need hand holding, but they need to fall down. But they need the guidance into solving the problem, right? And I think part of the problem is, and I'm sure you face this, a lot of small businesses turn around and and I can't say a lot. Let's just cut it down the middle for safety's sake, right? For guardrail's sake, let's cut it down the middle. 50% of small businesses wait for somebody to do it for them. Yeah. And then they never learn how to solve the problem when that somebody's not there. And the other 50% goes and they do it and they keep doing it and they never get the help, right? Yeah. So, and there's that very small percentage that finally successfully does it the right way. And I don't say that to be mean. I say that because it's kind of the observations of what I've seen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. From the businesses. And that percentage that is sort of navigating, using the resources, they are the in the know group. And they also the group that has let go a little bit enough of their baby to let somebody help them. Right?
That is so key right there, because that's exactly what it is. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to put this hat on. I'm going to be the marketeer today. I'm going to be the HR person today. I'm going to be the technical, the CTO today. I'm going to be, right? It's exhausting. Yeah. And then everybody's spinning and trying to, I know, I've done it.
Yeah, I think every entrepreneur does it because every entrepreneur has to do it. Because there's even when you hear of an angel investor came in and invested $300,000 into this business, but to get to that angel investor, that group or that person had to wear every hat before they can get there. And I think what happens though is that there's that moment. Can I let go of my baby? Can I relinquish control? Can I let the people that are smarter than me do the job I asked them to do? Right? And I think we all go through that moment where we're like, no, I'll be the first to admit it. I'll be like, no, I'll be the first to admit that there was a period of time, and my business partner, Mark, knows I would just not let go. There would not, there came that point, if I don't let go, I can't scale the business, right? It's going to implode. It's going to die under its own weight. And I'm sure you see that with businesses.
Constantly.
Right.
And then people think, the magic ticket. If I get an investment, great. Do you know that 46% of the companies invested in tank?
Yeah. What is it's year one, it's 20 through 26, but year 5 through.
That's different. That's just the general failure rate.
Oh, okay.
So ultimately, 92% of businesses fail. 92%, right? Over half fail within the first year. Right. They don't even make it to their first year anniversary, right? Resilience, money, this, that, planning, co-founder friction, blah, blah, all the things that we know. What I'm talking about is investment. Okay. So tens of millions of dollars have been poured into companies. 46% of them still tank, even with the investment, the advisors, all of that stuff. Look at Mark Cuban. He recently came out and said he's put in $20 million through Shark Tank investments. And he's got 12% he said that's got success?
That's horrible.
Right?
Yeah,
so
it's craation. And what does that come down to? That comes down to various things: poor management, inability to scale up. Which again, I use that term scale up a lot. And what I do say is, if you give your business the right energy, momentum, and team, You get that behind it, and you're scaling your business. Eventually, your business scales you. Right? You get to that point where now you're like, oh, wait a minute, I've got to catch up. I've got to hire new people. Like this is getting, and my business partner said to me once, he told me this story about this construction manufacturing company that did machines. And suddenly they got these orders and they would have gone bankrupt because they got so successful so fast. Mm-hmm. They figured it out and they survived. But like, it's a great problem to have. Right. But yeah, I think too, that's part of it too. You have and that's saying from a positive perspective, like you have to be prepared when the business takes itself over and begins to grow without you. You have to be prepared for that. And I think a lot of people are not prepared for that either.
Oh, it totally speaks to that. I see that. I do a lot of leadership development and have over my career, especially in adaptive leadership. The best way to be successful as a leader is to have people around you who are better at whatever things XYZ in your lanes, right, than you are, and to empower them to succeed. Hey, you're better at all the financial, the operations, this, that, the details, the minutia, the Gantt chart.
Approach is about more than just technology.
That is not my thing.
Strategies that include
vision,
the best
strategy,
tech, the smartest planning,
marketing,
and the brightest
influence,
minds
communication, all that.
Flourish.
That's my lane.
Outcome Engine believes technology
serves
then, humanity.
You have to be big enough to say, I'm not going to just hog that lane. If somebody else is better and knows things,
Outcome Engine does more than help your business grow.
We just lost the light, so if it gets dark, I'll fix it in
the dark
post.
now. It's okay.
For more
there you go.
information, visit their website, outcomeengine.io.
16 minutes. All right. Okay. So we're on the 16-minute mark. So that's my cue to ask you, and you've been already giving small business advice here, but let's talk to a problem, small business. What's the one piece of advice you could give outside of shit to get off the pot, right? That you can give a small business today, that any small business, regardless of where they are, they can take that one step to make a difference in their business or their next action to, improve their business.
Most businesses fail because of a lack of product market fit, which means we didn't do the market research, or means we did the market research 6 years ago before the pandemic, before the world totally shifted and everything changed, and we haven't done it since. Oh yeah, that's the secret. Keep up with your market at least once or twice a year. Pulse it. If you don't have the customer base to be able to get the pulse, work with, shameless plug, folks like myself. We've got great partnerships, and we can tap 500,000 people. Within 2 days, you can get a bunch of answers to what you should be doing. How is your market shifted? What do your buyers really want? Is that message resonating? Because you need to stay on point. Everything else, the marketing, the spin, the look, the pretty, this, that, the pricing, of course, all that matters. But if you're not dialed into exactly what your market wants, the way they expect to get it, forget about it.
Yeah. And I think there's few people that could actually, there's a myth that you can make your market. But I think that's there's few people out there, brands or organizations that, and I don't want to use the word manipulate in a negative way, but modify their audience behavior to accept the product that they're providing. And I think there's very few brands that could do that, very few businesses. And I think the ones that do have a long history of practice before they get there. So you do need to know your audience and know what the product you're selling is, and have that BCD plan as well.
That's right.
In that, right? So if it's not
XYZ,
yeah, all of them. So listen, folks, I need you to visit STEERus, STEERUS.io, and connect with Dr. Mears, because it's a no BS zone, right? And I think that's trademarked somewhere, so I got to be careful, right? Get the real deal. I mean, we always put behind everything. We say, we want to be your resource. We want to be the largest resource, small business and procurement resource event brand in the country. That's our goal. And that's putting everybody in the sandbox, and everybody in the room, let them play nice in the sandbox. That's what we want to do. But that doesn't happen unless you're actively accessing that stuff. So stop paying $39.95 for a bullshit subscription to a bunch of webinars that just make you buy more, because that's a business, and get in touch with people like, whether it's SBDC or SBA or subject matter experts like Dr. Mears and STEERus, or private organizations. But today we're going to ask you to go see Dr. Mears and talk. I mean, what's the worst thing that happens? You talk to her and she's not a fit. You talk to her and she's an amazing fit, problem solved. All right. So check her out, STEERus. STEERUS.io, and you will be back with me in a podcast soon.
You bet.
We're gonna get
I can't wait.
plenty of Dr. Mears and plenty of we're gonna make you cry.
And laugh.
There goes light 2. I guess that's our cue to get out. And we are out of here.